Well, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name's Ken Close. Here we are, middle of February, 17th today. Happy Valentine's Day late for everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. I did. So, welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday, by the way. If you haven't been here before, this is brand new. Well, this is a chat-based forum. We're going to put all kinds of stuff in the chat, but meanwhile, let me introduce you guys to my co-host. I got Jake Barron, head of ops here from Orlando. Hey, Jake, how are you?
Hey Ken, hello everyone.
And we have Henry Pena. He is our head of onboarding. Hey, Henry, how are you today?
Doing excellent, Ken. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks. Now you guys know who we are. Hopefully, we get to know who you guys are. We see some familiar faces in here quite often, so it's great to have you guys. So here's how it works. You guys put your questions in the chat, and then myself and Jake and Henry and sometimes the audience, we will unpack those questions. We will answer them, maybe find some new solutions, dive deep into the quantum field, all kinds of fun stuff. So what we can't do though is we don't do anything around diagnosing medical conditions, preventative. We don't treat or claim to cure anything. We are techie guys that like to talk about the technician or the technical stuff and not the medical stuff. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. If you guys are ready, go ahead and fire away in our chat. Um, let's see, we already have somebody from Bergie says, "Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up so consistently and faithfully. My question is, can the MagHealy be in a light out, oops, okay, a light out cloth bag and still function at its best because of the blinking light, especially for atmosphere programs?" This is a great question, and we've talked about this a little bit before. Can you put the MagHealy in a bag, right? Can you put it where you don't see any lights because maybe any lights are disruptive to you in your nighttime? And the answer is yes. Really, it transmits, think about it this way, it's an invisible magnetic signal, electromagnetic signal that goes omnidirectionally everywhere. Really, the only way you're going to negate that signal is with some kind of a metallic or metal or lead or some kind of bag that would be some sort of an EMF or radio frequency blocker, which there are those kind of things out there. But just a regular little cloth bag, something that just dims the light for you. There's not going to be any difference in the potency or the effectiveness. It won't change anything for you. So that's a great idea. Remember, MagHealy does have a bit of a distance of transmission, so you could put it, in a different spot of the room. Um, you can even put it behind something, right? Because it still goes omnidirectionally in the room. So you could put it like, I don't know, behind a bookcase or something, not bookcase, but a book or something that's sitting there. So it blocks it from your eyes. But those are some cool things you could do. Henry, you've had this question before too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most important thing to keep in mind is the fact that it's similar to like, I mean, these are still electromagnetic fields, so it's like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Just because there's a wall or you're in a different room, it will not stop the Wi-Fi signal to get in through your house. Same thing with Bluetooth. Like, I mean, in my case, like I tend to use Bluetooth earphones. Like sometimes I go to the gym and I walk around the gym. My phone is super far away and I can still hear my music. So you have to kind of see the McHeal in a similar way that just because there's a wall or a bag or any sort of surface in between, it won't really stop the signal. Like that's not really how these electromagnetic fields work. They tend to be they tend to penetrate very easily these surfaces. So it will be okay if there's a bag in between.
Yeah, and there's another thing to consider too. Healy uses BLE technology with this Bluetooth
Mhm.
Low Energy. So it's going to have the shortest range within the Bluetooth frequency band. That's 2.4 gigahertz. So it is a high frequency EMF. but it's very, very low power. So I hear this all the time from an engineering perspective and a techie perspective. People are talking about the EMFs and the concerns about that. And granted, there is a concern, right? And because our bodies are getting bombarded by invisible signals all the time. And you got your Wi-Fi wireless router in your house, maybe. You got your phones, all kinds of stuff that are emitting these signals. Even smart TVs, these wireless systems are everywhere. So what do you do? I recommend you shut the power off on things at night, right? Just eliminate as much as you can. But Healy uses BLE, which is Bluetooth Low Energy. It's the lowest amplitude of transmission signal out there for Bluetooth. So as Henry said, he's like he can go all over the gym with his wireless headphones. Well, they have a little bit more power, right, in terms of the Bluetooth. So, but the Healy, it's only got really 32 feet of range. Is the predicted space, and that's a line of sight. Line of sight means if it's going through walls, or if it's going through like your car doors and metal and things like that, it's going to be even less. And you may notice that, right? You got the Bluetooth signal going, and if you get too far away, all of a sudden it goes off, and you don't have signal anymore. And that's true. But when it's like, say, the MagHealy, and it's just in your room, right? Your room, unless your room is like really big, that's kind of cool. But most rooms are a certain size, they're not huge, and you could put that anywhere in your room, the MagHealy anywhere in the room, and it would still reach you. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense and gives you a little bit more clarity. If you're think about too, if you're wearing electromagnetic signal blockers, EMF blockers, you're going to nullify the signals getting to you from a radio transmitter, which is magnetic waves from the MagHealy. So if you're wearing that kind of stuff, you're going to be killing off or kind of warding off all the frequencies within the range of that device. So, so make sure if you want those signals, and you said, some of the programs, of course, you're sleeping with it, you're not going to want to do this, but some of the programs have you have the device right on your body, right? So it's really close. And if there's no blockers right there, you're not going to have an issue. Today, there are garments, hats, all kinds of signal blocking, devices, wristbands, and all kinds of things. So think about that when you're trying to get a good signal into the body, and not the bad signals. We have to sometimes let the good signals do their thing and turn the bad ones off, right?
Yeah. I think the only thing or one thing to keep in mind when you're using it in, say, like a cloth bag or something like that to block those lights is to make sure that it's something that is breathable as well, because the MagHealy does generate heat. When you have it on you, you can kind of feel like it's warm, especially on the underside of the device too. And the MagHealy does have a sort of heat protection built into. Sometimes if it overheats, you'll get the warning message. It needs to stop functioning for a period of time to cool down. But there's something to keep in mind, that if you're using it, to not always have it in some sort of tightly confined area as well too. So
Yeah, good point. Good point. A light and airy bag. Um, some of these beach bags are just made out of cotton or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, simple. Okay, so Mary's asking about since it's a small group, can we ask our questions by raising our hand? We put them in the chat, and then we'll unpack them in the chat. And if it's a big long question, you can put some sections in there. Sometimes we get people on here just with their question verbally, and nothing wrong with that. It just tends to be like a long conversation sometimes. So we're trying to, and we don't have a lot of questions right now. So if your question is a big one or something, you want to chat, you want to talk about it, go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know. You can unmute you there. I'll go ahead and click on there, let you unmute. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's just an observation that I'd had, because I have attended some of your other calls, and you've talked about that if someone has a Healy that it's like you're in a community, but then yet we don't get to see who else is in the community. Like as a participant, we just, you know, watch you all. But so it'd just kind of be nice sometimes to be able to see who else is on the calls and as they're asking their questions and things.
Yeah, we always
Um,
invite folks to have their camera on for sure.
right, but we can't see anybody. Like I just see you all. So I don't see who all else, like the regular folks. I don't see like the
Okay.
regular attendees or
Maybe
and then
because we're
like when
spotlighted. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I just an observation because I know you've like one of your goals is to create a community.
Mhm.
And so I think we'd feel more like we're in a community if we could actually see each other and not just like talk in a chat, but
Yeah,
actually talk.
there's some settings within your Zoom platform where you can set to speaker or gallery or multi-speaker. If you go to gallery, it should show everybody on the call within that setting. I have the three of us spotlighted, so they'll be there in the middle anyway.
Uh-huh.
We get more people watch the recordings than we do actually on these calls live. But yeah, we're always encouraging folks to have your cameras on and we use the chat because we can refer back to those and we can save the chat and that stuff goes to customer service. And if it's something that becomes, chronic, we can, then they use those in some of the frequently asked questions, and it's a great tool, I guess you might say, for customer service.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I guess this is my first Tech Tuesday that I've gone to, so I'm not really sure what your parameters are for the questions here versus another place. But I did have an experience yesterday that I'm not sure if it would warrant, I guess, resetting my, and I have one of the Healy waves. So I had the app right on my iPad, so like I'm in close proximity to the app, and probably about 4 different times on 3 different programs, it would lose contact and say that it couldn't find the device. And so it seemed like it was happening a lot yesterday. I don't know if there's something going on in the, frequency waves in the community here where I
Well,
live, or it was just seemed odd. But I
were,
guess
were
maybe
you
my question,
running? Were you running what app were you using? The Healy 2 app or the Analyze app?
the pink one, the Healy
Okay.
2.
Okay. And were you running a high wave program or was it a regular Healy program?
I switched around. I did some of the that deep cycle. I did
Okay.
some of those, and then some of the gold cycle, and then I have the soul one too.
Okay. Okay. But it was happening with multiple programs,
Yes,
not just one program. Okay.
right. Yeah, so that's why I was kind of surprised, and I was sitting right here with it, and just that. I mean, so I wasn't like down the hall where it
Yeah.
lost. Yeah.
I think in those cases, I think the most important thing to determine first, Mary, would be if the green light turned off or only the blue one. Were you able to notice if when it stopped, when it disconnected, did the blue light turned off, or the green light too, or only the blue light?
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
the
I
reason the
think the
reason
green light was still blinking because then I could easily, once I hit the button, it found it within a few seconds.
and you were able to connect again, and the program had not stopped, correct?
Right,
Got it. So
right.
that seems to be like a Bluetooth connection
Okay.
issue, which at that point, you're welcome to try to do the hard reset on your Healy if you haven't tried doing that. That's probably where I would start.
I did
You
it
can,
about a week ago for another issue.
yeah, I would
Um,
try to do that just in case, but just to make sure, and because again, that shouldn't be happening. Like if you leave as long as your phone is not set up so that the display goes to sleep, which that can actually take, lead to the disconnection. If you're actually looking at your phone screen and the program is playing, and then suddenly as the program is playing just goes, hey, I disconnected for no reason. At that point, the most important thing would be to determine if the issue is the Healy or the phone, right? So at that point, what I would recommend is trying to do the same thing that you're doing, but with a different phone. And if it keeps happening and you're just running a program and it keeps disconnecting as your program is running, at that point, it can be assumed that the issue is the Bluetooth on the Healy device. And then depending on the options that you have, depending on when you purchase your Healy, then at that point we would, we would have a technical specialist evaluate the device, and if needed, a replacement would be granted if it is considered that to be a consistent issue that just keeps disconnecting when you're running a program, because that shouldn't be happening.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Henry. Nice to see you again.
Of
Yeah,
course,
Mary,
yeah.
to consider also, we are it depends on your area. If you are in an area where there is a lot of Bluetooth activity, Bluetooth is one of those signals that's very device oriented, right? So it's attached to that device, but it doesn't mean it couldn't be interfered with because the frequency is the same frequency, but it's encoded essentially from one device to another. And once they pair, they're pretty much reliable in terms of pairing. Again, like I said, interference from other stronger Bluetooth devices doesn't mean that can't be an issue. But as Henry said, I would recommend, even though you reset it maybe last week, it doesn't hurt it to reset it. It doesn't hurt it to do it often. If you're having to do it often, then we need to look at why. But just because you did it last week, you do it again just to eliminate it being any kind of setting issue. The Healy devices have a Bluetooth that can be turned on and turned off with a triggering signal. Okay, and the triggering signal, basically it's the chip. It turns it off, and then there's a certain process to turn it back on. But it doesn't mean that maybe it's not getting some, I don't know, like I said, interference. And when you reset it, it puts everything back to factory standards. And if that cures the issue, then maybe there was some intermittent condition going on, perhaps something linked to that Bluetooth chip. It should not do that though. Like Henry said, it should stay connected. Mine stays connected. I mean, it's even when the program's done, my blue light's flashing all day, and until I actually turn the app off, then it shuts down. So that's what's normal, is it's normally designed to connect and stay connected. Okay. You want to add anything to that, Jake?
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. So back to Bergie's question around the MagHealy. Bergie says, I was thinking in the airplane or kind of hiding it when I do relationship programs. So yeah, remember its radius is quite vast. And when you're doing relationship programs, if you don't want the other person to know, that's another thing. See, awareness is our greatest asset. Where we place our attention is where we place our energy. So whenever we're working with someone else, and we can give the information that, hey, we can build coherent signals to improve what we're trying to accomplish here through this device, and then them finding value in that adds to the outcome, adds to the value of the therapy, the session, whatever. But I take my device with me. I'm not displaying my MagHealy all the time, but my Healy I am. And I go through security with it on, and I'm constantly getting pat down because it's my thing, right? It's like it's part of me. And I always just say it's my medical device, and they do their little tests, and on my way, I always build in a lot of extra time just for that reason. But it is a great protective mechanism. You're going through airports and on airplanes and in lots of people, and so building a energetic balloon or bubble around you is a really huge asset. I run my defense program every day, which is designed to improve immune function and response. So it just, protecting the health of my body, right? These bodies are signal generators and they are signal receivers. We call these a transducer. The body will take information in and transduce it into some other form. But we're constantly interfacing with signals. And that signal is what expresses the gene, right? It answers the other 97% of the adaptive code that's within your genetic coding. 3% of that genetic strand says it's fixed. It's going to be a skin cell, muscle cell, bone cell, still going to look like you forever. But 97% is an adaptive gene network looking at environment to make sure you fit in that environment. And the language to that 97% is frequency, information. And so you were getting that from everywhere. Like I mentioned earlier, we got the Wi-Fi router going on, we got all kinds of signals going on around us. So that's kind of what I'd like to say, hacking the signal of that 97% of our genetic coding. And it's to our advantage to protect that, right? So if you give it a stronger signal by having your MagHealy right here on your chest, or your Healy right here connected to your body, you're giving it a stronger signal than the outside world. Guess who's going to win, right? This is the way that I work in terms of my wellness centers. I build the system is high amplitudes of influence. So I don't care what you walk in there with. You're in a bad mood, you're, just had a heck of a day, or your body's just, having some virus or fighting some condition. When we can give a higher amplitude of signal than what's happening negatively, then we can actually take hostage that genetic coding to the tune of 800,000 cells per second and express a new value, a new outcome. So if you guys ever get into Spokane area, come and see me. I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean. 1 hour, and you're you're leaving feeling different. All right. So hopefully that helps there, Bergie, about the airplane. I don't know if a lot of folks are aware, there's a lot of Wi-Fi signal in an airplane. I mean, think about it. Do you guys ever get on an airplane that has a screen in front of you? You watch a movie, right? Well, that's in front of your face. Guess what's in your headrest right behind your head? The passenger behind you. The passenger behind you, their screen's right there against your head. And guess what that screen's doing? It's emitting information, frequency. So, I mean, taking care of ourselves is super important. Okay.
Yeah, probably one of the, and everyone with their Bluetooth headphones and everything else going on there as well. Probably the closest proximity you are to people in general are the airplane. So
Yeah, they're in your bubble.
yeah,
and you're in their bubble, right? Our bodies, it's shown to through various types of imagery, that our bodies transmits a signal easily within a 3-foot sphere, quite easily out to 9 feet. I mean, and you've just come across these powerful personalities, right? Someone that just radiates, right? Their signal goes a long ways. Then you got some signals that are just kind of like the canary, right? Little less, but still we feel each other. And the more aware you are, the more conscious you are. Oh my goodness, there's all kinds of information that's coming into you. Okay, so Mary's asking, just curious, is there any consideration to build a Healy device that you can wear while it's charging? So Healy's built because it's initially designed as a medical device, right? And when you're able to charge a device, it has a battery or it has some sort of it's powered, right? When it's powered, then and it needs to be charged, the outlet that it's being charged from is 120 volts, right? Could be up to 20 amps of power. That's enough to stop the heart. And so when you plug something into the wall, and then you plug it into a device that normally would send information or signal into you. Um, to get the medical rating, you're not be able to do both at the same time. You cannot to safely keep the patient or the person from being in some way electrocuted. Then you have to make that precaution to where you can't plug you, aka the wires, and the device into the outlet at the same time. So that's why it's made in that special little way, that little V shape in the bottom, so that you can't physically plug in both connections at the same time. You can run the Healy in the with the Blue app, the Healy Advisor Analyze app, while it's plugged in, right? So you can vibrate those signals into your body because you're not connected via wires, right? So if you want to plug it in, do things all night long, then you can with the Blue app. It's just when you're doing microcurrent directly into your body, whether it's the wristbands or sticky pads, anytime you plug something in to that port, those ports, even you notice the coil, right? When it's plugged in, you can't plug anything else into it. So it's purposely built that way so that it can still have that medical device classification.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and actually, like I said, we're not going to have a device in the future that you can have the physical electro connections while it's charging, but I can guarantee you the next generation of Healy device will have a bigger battery, so you don't have to charge it as often as well. Definitely be much more efficient and have a lot of longer runtime as well. So that'll be definitely helpful.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Although you got to admit, the Healy runs a long time, right? On a single charge. I'm getting probably, well, it depends on the length of the program and my intensity, but 7 programs. I can run 7 programs on a single charge. Up to, that is. Sometimes I'm getting much less because I'm running them at 100%, and they're 50 plus minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can run a lot of programs. And now, look, folks, that's me. I'm not recommended. Healy recommends no more than about 3 programs a day in the microcurrent world. Um, so, mind those things. Know your body. Don't overdo it.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so and Mary's making comments that she needs to charge hers after 3 or 4. And that's not unusual. Typically, I think you can get, I want to say the literature says 4 to 5 a day or 4 to 5 on a charge, doesn't it, Jake? Something like that.
There's a range because as mentioned, a lot of it depends on the program length, the intensity as well too. Someone might be running a program like I don't know, Zapper protocol. It's an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, approximately, versus someone that's running a 45-minute program. So that's almost like one of that is 2 of the other ones as well, and plus you factor in the intensity. But I think like for most people, it's I would say 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 range. I would say depending on again the program duration plus the intensity that you're using it at too. Mary's running at that's 80 to 85. I mean, everyone's different as far as the intensity they use. Um, and also, if you're running in high current application versus low current, high current is the default these days, but that does use a little bit more power than running in low current mode. But if you're running in high current mode at 80 to 85, and you're running programs that are around an hour each, 3 to 4 programs is pretty normal, I would say. There, nothing unusual, but yeah, I mean, if someone's running most of their programs at around 40% versus 80%, that will have a difference in the amount of programs you can run.
A huge difference. So in my case, if I'm getting 7 programs a day out of it, I'm running programs like Muscle from the fitness program. That's, it's a shorter
Mhm.
program versus Stamina, which is a longer program. And the muscle programs, I don't need to run as high. I might be 60%. And again, depending on what I'm doing, sometimes when I'm doing things, Healy is part of my life. I'm right now, I'm increasing my space. I'm moving into a new location for my wellness center. And so, version two, I'm doing all the construction. So I'm literally doing all the construction with my Healy on. I'm all dusty and, and sweaty and all kinds of stuff, but my Healy and I are right there doing it. And sometimes, so here's the thing, if you get dust and debris and things, sweat a lot of underneath between the skin and the wristband, you can start feeling some tingling, some, I call it spiking, right? Because you're trying to get microcurrent or current, let's call it electricity, to go through contaminants, dust, dirt, debris, and there's arcing going on. That doesn't feel good, right? So I have to stop, wash them off, wash my skin off, put it back on. And so it's not recommended to be, all grungy. But again, I'm proving how tough this thing is, and it's pretty tough. But so I will turn down my amplitude from percentage when that starts to occur. I'm still getting microcurrent, I'm still getting frequencies, but at a lower percentage so that I'm not feeling that discomfort. Um, anyway, that's how I'm getting 7 is shorter programs. Some of them are lower amplitudes, but if I'm full blast, yeah, 4 is about max. All right. And as Bergie says too, another consideration if you're running the high wave, you do need to have that amplitude up higher to activate its function. That's normal. So it doesn't run very at all, really, lower than that. Okay. Let's see. I think we're all cut up, guys.
Yeah, I just want to add when it comes to the highway, for anybody who has the highway, if you guys have not watched the video that we have available on YouTube for the Healy for beginners and beyond that we did on high wave, if you own a high wave or you're considering getting a high wave, I definitely recommend watching that because that's the most comprehensive training we've done on the Healy high wave, where we explain the differences between the high wave and the other accessories. We explain the light patterns. We explain the things that you need to take into consideration to ensure that your high wave is working properly, like setting it to high current, running it at least 40%. We also explain what are the programs that are compatible with the high wave, which programs are not compatible with the high wave. So all of these things are important to know. And if you have not watched that, I definitely recommend watching, and I'm happy to share the link here in the chat.
Yeah, it's a great video. Good training. And if you guys have not visited the YouTube page, you've got to go and check that out. There's just more and more things all the time. The Healy Solution series was just put out last week
Yeah, last week. Yep.
and that was on fitness, by the way. One of my favorite subjects.
Yeah. So, Ken, I speaking of the YouTube channel, I didn't even, so you have a new video on there. I just noticed that.
So I was invited to share a testimonial on that fitness page or on that episode around fitness. That's kind of one of my specialties.
Yeah.
And apparently during the episode, they tried to show it, and there was a technical difficulty, so it didn't work.
Mm.
So they added it to the chat, but then only the people who were on the call that got to see that. And so they decided, well, let's just put it out there as a separate little
Okay.
video linked
Yeah, I'll share the link for anybody. If you go to our Healy World Learning Hub, and then just go to the videos, you'll see it's the newest one that was added here as well. Fitness and recovery testimonials, but I'll share this link in the chat. Just make it easier to access. But yeah, actually, I need to watch this after. And you'll see Ken's Wellness Center too that he was referring to earlier,
Yeah,
also in the
yeah.
background.
I actually filmed that from my center, and one afternoon. And so yeah, so that's a little sneak peek into that. Like I said, if you guys ever get to this area, let me know and I'll give you a tour.
Yep.
But I'm moving, so come April 2nd, I'll be in a newer location of more my design and such. So
Nice.
yeah, it's more.
Congrats.
Thank you. Expanding twice as many square feet. I'm loving
Nice.
it. All right. And Henry put the deep dive into the Healy High Wave. That link is in there too, guys. Definitely save the chat. Once we get all these links in here at the end of our call, you could take this chat. So up there where it says Healy Tech Tip Tuesday at the top of your chat bar, there's three little dots. If you click on those three little dots, there'll be a drop down menu to say it says save chat. At the end of our call, when you get off this call, there'll be a message on your screen to be able to save that chat, and then you'll have this content. So some people don't know how to do that, and I try to remind everyone each time. So if you've watched some of the other recordings of Tech Tip Tuesday, I've said that many times. So just getting to know how we use our technology. All right. Yeah, there you go, Mary. So you see a new little tool, right? Isn't that great? Yeah. I'll tell you what, when we were, when we had to isolate and nobody was going out anymore during that 2019 episode, everybody got to know how to use Zoom a lot. And it got really popular really fast. And I was doing all kinds of experiments as to how to share my phone on the screen at the same time while you're giving a presentation, all kinds of stuff that we were doing to be able to give examples and show people how the apps work and what you're seeing on the screen and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, we got to know Zoom fairly intimately, I guess you might say. In fact, I think early on, I did some videos just on some of the features of Zoom so that with my team and with we were doing Tech Tip Tuesday back then. Jake wasn't here yet and Henry wasn't here yet, but the Tech Tip Tuesday lived on way back then. So all right. Well, kind of quiet crowd here, but do we have any questions in the email, Jake? Because there is, by the way, an opportunity to email your questions in, and we can bring them up live on this call too. Do we have anything from the email?
Mm-mm.
No,
Yeah, I don't think we did this week, right, Henry?
no.
No, but did we answer Mary's question about the back office? I don't know if we went over that one.
No. There's okay. So, is there a tutorial to teach us how to show people who purchase a Healy from US how to help them set up their back office? That's a great question.
There is
Is
not currently. There's actually, I believe there's one that's being worked on. They did a short video for our YouTube channel from our team in EMEA. I believe is working on something along those lines. There's actually a playlist called. Let me share my screen again. Go back there. Share. Okay, so there's a playlist here called Healy World Essentials, and this has a couple different shorter videos in several different languages. But you see, there's one on how you use the member registration form, how you register in the Healy shop, how you delete cookies, some of the basic things that people have issues with as well. How you register with iPayout, which is kind of part of a Healy new member process, setting up your back office, setting up iPayout, that kind of thing. And then also how to log into your Healy shop. So this is the section that type of video would go in. It's just not there yet. They're kind of working on these a little bit at a time, but it's a great idea, and yeah, definitely something that would be helpful for everyone to have a quick resource to check out.
so Healy World Essentials, everybody subscribe to that channel. click on the little notifications button so you get a notification when the new one does come out.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dory's asking for a link for that to that channel.
Well, this is just on it's within the Healy World Learning Hub, but it's a separate playlist. So I can share the playlist link if you would like. Let me see.
So you go to the Healy World Learning Hub. So that's actually, I think, see, Jake put that up there. That's where that testimonial he was showing you guys earlier.
Yeah.
It's the same page, various different playlists and such in there. And that one was under the Healy World Essentials. Okay. And Dory's saying it's always surprised how few people are on here. Well, me too, but a lot of people watch the recording. Just it could be time. You have day issues, whatever. But that's why it's always recorded and then time stamped and subjects are all placed in there so you guys can refer to it later. But Dory's saying it might be helpful if there was an email. I don't know. As far as the Healy newsletters, I think there's information on the calendar in there often, but not necessarily for a particular like call.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
I
mean,
think the closest thing would be, yeah, I guess you're gonna mention, Jake,
mm,
the text messages. We do send text messages every single week right before Tech Tip Tuesday, and then yeah, usually text messages. We also post it on on our Telegram channel.
yeah, we do. Of course, I think Tech Tip Tuesday is the longest running sort of training series in the history of the world as well. But yeah, it's something that especially anybody new, we have a special list that we kind of invite to this where it's anybody that purchased a device for the first time as well. Kind of that combined with the people that are interested in the product side of it too. But yeah, I mean, we've tried to make it as convenient as possible with our YouTube channel, being able to access it, and all the content is all separated by hyperlinks and chapters and everything like that too. So part of that is that we've made it so easy just to follow up later that not as much incentive to join live, but that's why we do have the option that people that can't join live on the call can send their questions in advance via email as well if you want us to cover it during the call, because of course the benefit of joining live is that you can ask these questions and you kind of shape the direction of the call, because we don't have an agenda really. There's some announcements and things we want to make sure that we cover, but in general we just go with what people are interested in learning about on today's call.
So I know that like you guys mentioned the texts and is there a place, because I don't think everybody I don't get nearly as many texts as I think emails, but is there a place somebody can register? Is that if you register for the newsletter, do you automatically get on the list? Or how would somebody make sure they're on the text list?
On the text list for the business, let me find that number as well. I don't have it saved here, but there is a specific number you can send a text to and sign up for that group.
Yeah. And then of course there is the Healy newsletter that you could sign up for to get, that's going to be, of course, the big calls such as
Mhm.
Frequencies and Friends, the notifications of some of the Super Saturdays, things like that. I'm not sure. I think maybe some of the common calls, like Jake said, Tech Tip Tuesday has been around the longest. There may be mentioned in some of those newsletters. I don't know if it's in every one of them, though. I haven't noticed. But there is a link to that newsletter. Can we post that in there too? The link to get on the newsletter mailing list?
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
that one's on the main website, right? At the
I think it's
bottom.
pretty sure it's on the Healy shop on the main page. You
Yeah.
can sign up
Hmm.
for,
Sign up for the newsletter, something like, yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know if there's more than one newsletter because the things around business aspects versus sales aspects. Um,
True. Yeah.
there may be more than one. I'm not for sure. Um, yeah, it's so being able to get information. There's a fine line between getting bombarded with texts and emails and not getting enough, right? It's like, okay, where is that? And it's relative to an individual. Some people really like to be plugged in and like, want everything. And others like, if you send me one email a month, that's too much. So, um, I know in some companies I'm on newsletters and such with other organizations and whew, sometimes it's just too much, right? And normally those are more just salesy stuff and that gets a bit too much. So Henry put in the shop link there, guys. Uh, and if you go to, is that area at the very bottom of that page?
Correct. Yeah. You just scroll down and you will find it there.
Yeah, go all the way down the bottom. Let's see, there's the help center. Um, Place where you can follow on different social medias. Yeah, okay. I was looking for the specific um, tab where it says sign up for the newsletter or something. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, Mary, proof's in the pudding. Um, the the time we switched to this platform, this time slot, I don't know, it's been several months ago. It was in the evening, and it just I think there might have been more folks in the evening, just because it might have been more convenient. But I guess the proof is in the pudding because if we look at our YouTube page and the views on the recordings, it's huge. And
Yeah.
so like it's like that's at your schedule, right? It's like, okay, I can watch it now because I was busy, or somebody said, oh, you got to catch this episode of this show, and so people will go and check it out. But um, that's the biggest asset, I think, is the recordings and having the availability there. So people can go, and then you can also sort through if you just want to know about one particular aspect of it, and now they're getting some highlights. So you'll notice if you go to the YouTube page and you look at Tech Tip Tuesday, um, the marketing piece of it is some highlights about what was in that episode. And you can just go and take a look at just those, and you can go right to it because it's hyperlinked, right? There's a link right there. Click, and you can share just that part if you want, even, right? So in terms of like getting on newsletters and reminders and that kind of thing, those are great. Um, when you have to register for something, it does separate an audience. Some people like, I don't want to register because, it just feels, I don't know, they feel obligated or something. And if they miss it, there's that internal dialogue that says, "Oh man, I failed" or whatever. So people don't tend to register, um, especially like it depends on the event, but um, reminders would be nice, right? Some text reminders or email reminders, that would be cool. Because they're consistent calls. Um, The Healy Solution Series, that's once a month. So you would get a reminder once a month for that. The Healy for Beginners and Beyond, that's basically on demand, whenever something new comes on. There hasn't been one of those for a while. But Frequencies and Friends, that's another once a month. So you would get a text every week for Tech Tip Tuesday because it's every week, right? The others would be monthly. What other calls are there that's regular, Jake?
Oh, this is always a good place to go. This is our Healy America's events calendar, and this is kind of has everything. So this is definitely worth saving this particular link. If you're not sure how to access a particular meeting, this has all the links to go straight to the meeting, or if registration is required, it'll take you to the page to register. Like, for example, this coming Saturday, February 21st, noon Eastern time, there's actually a Healy Super Saturday. We do a few of these per year. This one it's going to be around 2 hours long, starting at noon this Saturday. But this takes you right to the Zoom page to register for that one because registration is required. But again, it has like all the different meetings we have coming up. Like last week's Healy Solution Series, there's the link for that. Then it talks a little bit about each of the meetings, the Frequencies and Friends, which is the first business day of the month, the Healy Opportunities Series, which has been going on for several weeks now with Peter Christoph, our managing director for North America, the Healy Solution Series that Ken has been on as a guest speaker in the past, Healy Onboarding, those sessions that are on a daily basis with Henry that you can sign up for too, Tech Tip Tuesday, which we're on right now. And then there's a couple other different Spanish product trainings too. And then there's a link to our Healy World Learning Hub on YouTube, and then links to our Facebook groups for the different regions also. So this is, again, we'll put this link in the chat. But this is always a great, definitely one to save for if you ever, wait, there's a meeting coming up and I don't know how to get to it or when it was. This is a perfect one for that.
Yeah, and if you notice, there were like on there of that calendar, that 30-day calendar, that was not even 30 days, right? There were 20 events. And so if there was a text regiment for that, you would get 20 texts, right? And so sometimes that's too many. It would be one of those systems you'd have to, decide to click on which ones you do want to get notified for and which ones you don't. That's a bit more evolved in terms of a text campaign or email campaign. Sometimes it's all or nothing, or because there is no options for choosing that kind of thing. But there was 20 there. You would have gotten 20 texts in a month. And if there's reminders because you've registered for one, you get reminders, a day before and then the day of. So there's some extras there. So Dory, there's the link for you for its HealyAmericasEvents.com. Can you save the calendar to your desktop? You can put a link to it, to any website. You could put a link to it on your desktop, which, it'd be there. It's kind of just a quick shortcut. So you could do that.
Yeah, there's not a downloadable version of the calendar, but if you save the link, whenever you click on it, it will be the most up-to-date version as well.
Yeah, so that could be right on your desktop and just ready to go. All right. Well, we're getting a lot of clarity on notifications. This episode's been about how do we get notifications a lot, right? How do we plug in? How do we build community, right, Mary? Yeah, I get it. 100%. Being able to feel plugged in. I'm doing a very elaborate and in-depth study of DNA profiling for my wellness community. And I'll tell you what, it is so in-depth and there's so many resources, and you can get lost in the hustle. So, staying focused in this scattered world is a diligence on our own. It's our job to try to stay focused because we're constantly bombarded with things. And I'll tell you, one of the things I look at as markers of health is our autonomic nervous system. And today's world, people today, the clients that come in, people don't realize how normalized they've made a stress response. It's just how I am is what I hear often. It's just who I am is what I actually hear more. And that's not true. It's who you've become. It's how you've managed to adapt to a constant bombardment of information coming in. Um, and we normalize such high amounts of content that we as a perception think it's no big deal. But our nervous system, trust me, the nervous system is aware and constantly on. And that's where health is decaying, folks. The number one cause of these chronic conditions and health decay is a stress response, where these bodies are in uh, a influence of cortisol too much, just too much, for too often of their day. These bodies were built to spend about 10% of your waking day in a stress response. Remember, these bodies are 250 million years old. And as I say often, we look pretty good for our age, don't we? But these bodies have been around a long time and they've adapted to conditions, but never in its existence has it been bombarded by the conditions we have today. A lot of information coming in. Chemistry as well as signaling. And this is why I mentioned before, the importance is high amplitudes of proper signaling, not to fight against the other bad signalings, but just to make them obsolete, right? We can do that. We can make them obsolete by signaling the body in a more profound and healthy way. And the most simplest ways to do that, folks, is actually grounding. Grounding on earth. Putting your bare feet, your bare hands, your bare butt, I don't care what it is, on the ground, in the dirt, and grounding your body. That's another way of nullifying all these other signals, right? Mother Earth is much more powerful. So using that, breath work is another one, how you can detune that high stress response. You're actually changing your HRV. Your heart rate variability gets quieted down. Brain and heart become coherent just through breath work, right? And I always say exhale twice as long as you inhale. So if you inhale for 3 seconds, exhale for 6 with a short pause at the top and the bottom. Do that for 3 minutes and you will put your body right into parasympathetic. You'll get right out of cortisol response. The body can't be in stress when it's breathing that way. It can't. You're speaking to HRV. You're speaking to that vagus nerve, the vagal tone. So some simple, easy ways. Okay. And as Mary says, stop watching the news. Come on. You're so right. I believe, and I'm not saying to disconnect from your world. What I'm saying is connect to what you can change right now. What can you change right now? Pick one thing you can change with your resources in this moment, with your talents, your knowledge, and your skills, and do it. Change it right now. If you can't, you've got to let it go. You can't let it stew inside of you. You can't carry all that, right? So, Healy has a program which I recommend often if there's a stress response going on and you're not sure how to manage that. Bed rest is one of those programs from the job sleep page that moves the body from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Not that it's not going to put you to sleep. It just down regulates your stress response so you can rest and relax or just get yourself out of stress, right? So your body can heal. The biggest challenge to these bodies is they're healing a lot less in the daytime than they are managing, right? They're just too turned on. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. We are at the end of our hour. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you found some value here, great. Pass it on. Invite somebody to come and join us. We'd love to have you guys live and love to have you guys on camera. Thank you very much for coming on camera and seeing your beautiful faces. And we can share this experience together as a community, right? Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks, Jake. Thanks, Henry. We'll see you guys next week, huh?
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Do. Bye bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye-bye.